I've been fortunate to be part of NTTA for a very long time. And when I first came here, I was working for the Nez Perce Tribe, and we were just starting to build our infrastructure out, wireless infrastructure that was providing reservation-wide service. And it was from the leaders in this room that are part of NTTA that helped us launch. We didn't know the right questions to ask. We didn't know the right process to start. And NTTA really was a foundational help that helped get us moving in the right direction. And many of those people are right here in this room. So there's no wrong question. The only thing you can do wrong here at this conference is not ask it, right? So take advantage of all the years of experience that are in this room if you're just starting out. So I see my timer clock, and we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Danae Wilson. I'm with the Office of Science and Technology and Policy at the White House. I focus primarily on tribal connectivity and rural connectivity. So in my portfolio, I manage all of the policy that is working towards the goal of achieving 100% connectivity. Let me get this going here. I am under the U.S. Chief Technology Officer, and so right now I'm very privileged to be supervised by a phenomenal female, and that's rare in our industry. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful that I was selected to fulfill this position for the U.S. Chief Technology Officer. So I really want to focus on consultation today. You've heard a lot about it. You've had a lot of federal presenters. It's powerful. When you engage, when you submit letters, when you send an email from your tribal entities, it's very powerful, and it sends a message that we have to respond and react, right? And so I'm going to focus on consultation and what that consultation can do for tribal governments. There is an executive order. The president signed an executive order on consultation to develop uniform standards. So you've heard a lot of your federal partners get up here over the last few days talking about getting in touch with us and sending us information and providing you links. And you see a ton of emails coming in about consultation. It's specifically because this administration cares and wants to hear from tribal governments. So this administration has taken significant steps to improve that consultation process. And many of your federal agencies have tribal specific points of contact or tribal offices who are there to respond to your concerns and questions. You can see the power of that consultation in the budget. And I'm just going to go over some of the numbers because they are significant. Sorry, that just got loud when I put my head down. Apologize if I'm shouting at you. So when we think about advances and what consultation has done, hearing directly from, I'm going to pull that down. Sorry, because it feels like I'm shouting at you. That's a little bit better. So advances in healthcare equity for American Indians and Alaska Natives. Building on the advanced appropriation, the budget requests an additional $3 billion in the 2024 for a total of $8.1 billion in discretionary resources. $9.4 billion in discretionary and mandatory resources for IHS in 2024, and the budget proposes all IHS resources as mandatory beginning in 2025. These are direct results of requests of funding because of consultation. So when you see those emails that come out asking for tribal input, it's for these purposes specifically. So another opportunity that tribes were allowed to do consultation on for budget requests was for the Department of Interior. And I remember seeing those go out, and I'm really glad tribes responded because tribal nations and Native communities provided extensive tribal consultation on the budget. And the budget for Department of Interior will provide 4.7 for DOI's tribal programs, more than 690 million above the 2023 enacted level, including investments that would support public safety and justice for social services. In investments in infrastructure and affordable housing, Again, hearing directly from tribes, 150 million will prioritize activities that advance resilience and energy efficiency in housing-related projects. The budget also reflects a reduction in mortgage insurance fees for the Indian Housing Loan Program, which will save Native American borrowers over $500 on average for their first year and expand access to home ownership. So the total budget provides $1 billion to the fund affordable housing. Supports tribal law enforcement and public safety. In this particular fund, $537 million for the COPS hiring program, discretionary top line, an increase of $213 million or 66% over the 2023 enacted level. The budget provides $717 million on tribal public safety and justice funding at DOI, an $86 million increase over the 2023 enacted level. Creates jobs in tribal communities, building clean energy infrastructure. The budget invests $4.5 billion in clean energy across America, bringing jobs to rural communities and cities, leaving no one behind. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting I have to move this forward with me. So you'll see I'm going to hit some of these top line numbers, including a $1.8 billion to weatherize and retrofit low-income American homes, and $83 million to electrify tribal homes and transition tribal colleges and universities to renewable energy. Advances in environmental justice in Indian country. So the President's Justice 40 initiative to ensure that 40% of the overall benefits of federal investments in climate and clean energy reach disadvantaged communities, including rural and tribal communities, by investing nearly $1.8 billion at EPA across numerous programs that will support securing environmental change. $35 million to help disadvantaged and tribal communities access their water resource challenges through technical and planning assistance, $13 million for tribal partnership program, and $58 million to support tribal access to legally recognized historic fishing areas. This is significant. This came from consultation. Improves college affordability and expands institutional capacity for tribal colleges and universities. The maximum Pell Grant by 500, helping more than 6.8 million students pay for college, building on the successful bipartisan efforts to increase the maximum Pell Grant award to 900 over the past 2 years, and laying out a path to double the award in 2029. The of standardized tuition for students from families earning less than $125,000 enrolled in participating four-year historic Black colleges, tribally controlled college or university, and minority-serving institution, the low-resourced institutions, by providing an increase of $429 million above the 2023 enacted level. The significant funding includes $350 million for four-year HBCUs, TCCUs, and MSIs to expand research and development infrastructure. Prioritizes efforts to end gender-based violence. The budget proposes $1 billion to support implementation of programs through the Violence Against Women Act, which was recently reauthorized and strengthened in 2022. The budget will increase funding for the tribal government's program and strongly supports underserved and tribal communities by providing $35 million for culturally specific services, $10 million for underserved populations, $15 million to assist in law enforcement and in tribal special domestic violence jurisdictions, and $3 million to support tribal special assistant U.S. attorneys. The budget also includes $519 million for family violence prevention and services. Connects Indian country to high-speed and affordable, reliable internet. This is probably what you're most interested in, building on the $2 billion for tribal broadband grants at NTI and the $2 billion rural broadband programs at USDA provided the bipartisan infrastructure law. The budget provides $400 million for USDA's Reconnect program, which provides grants and loans to deploy broadband and to underserved areas, specifically tribal areas. With the funding provided in bill, USDA has provided nearly $548 million to people. And I know you just heard from USDA, so I won't go into many more of those. But it goes on and on. You can see every bullet has more money coming into Indian country, and it's because of consultation. When tribes are engaged, let's see, it's not expand. There we go. When tribes are engaged and we are making our voices heard, the administration responds by increasing services that they provide to Indian country. And even if we are still underfunded at levels in broadband, NTI was underfunded by 6 billion in their first award. They got additional money. So every time that you engage, every time that you submit comments, every time that you tell the administration more is needed, they respond. Vice President Harris was here on Gila River in July, and she recognized in her speech tribal sovereignty. She recognized the need to consult. It's extremely important. When you see all of those emails about tribal input needed, somebody needs to respond to those. Somebody needs, at your agency, needs to say it's important to us, and it's important to us for a number of reasons. Tribal consultation will determine what will happen with federal funds on your tribal lands. It will enforce that the tribes have to give consent. They have to give permission for those agencies to claim your tribal lands. And when you give consent for them to claim your tribal lands, you acknowledge that you may not be eligible for federal funding to do the same thing. Why is that important to us today here in this room? It's important because we heard just recently about federal funding going out for CAF2 and ACAM. And when you hear those amounts of fundings that are going out for rural carriers to provide services, if they get the funding and then you go to apply, but they've already claimed your territory, then you are no longer eligible for that funding. So consent is extremely important, and consent starts with consultation. If you aren't being consulted, if you don't respond to those requests for consultation, your voice isn't heard. And when your voice isn't heard, nobody can advocate for you, right? You have to be able to say that Nez Perce, where I'm from, or Gila River, where we're at today, that we care about how this money is being spent. We care how entities are claiming our tribal lands, and we want to say. And so tribal engagement is extremely important, and this administration takes it extremely serious. Very recently, the FCC requested consultation and comments on spectrum over tribal lands. It's extremely important that tribes respond to that. It's important that you take the steps to say, what does it mean for the airspace above your reservation, and who has access to it? Who gets the license? Who has permission to use it? You need to have a say in that. And so submitting written comments, while it's tedious, while it takes time out of your very, very busy day, it's extremely important to tribal sovereignty to have a say in what happens on that spectrum over your tribal lands. NTI had already done their consultation on spectrum over tribal lands. The FCC has a comment period out, and I know that deadline is coming very soon, and I'm sure you heard about it earlier this week when the FCC spoke. But of course, permitting and rights of way. So permitting and rights of way is another issue that we'll be going into with the BEAD funding and all the BEAD deployments. It's extremely important that you're engaged with your states, that you're engaged with NTIA in regard to permitting and rights of way and what happens on your tribal lands. That engagement only happens when you raise your voice, when you say this is important to us and this is why it's important to us. And it doesn't have to be formal. You can send an email. You can send them to me, you can send them to any of the federal agencies that have reported to you today, but when you raise your voice, it makes a difference. When you submit your concerns, we have to respond. All of the administration actions, the fact sheets, the statements, it's all available to you at whitehouse.gov. You can do a very simple search on that website. Just type in the word tribal, and everything related to tribal from this administration pops up. So that whitehouse.gov can give you all of the tribal information, all the fact sheets. It tells you even where the IRA fundings are going, right? the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a whole playbook in there about where funding is going, how much is available, and what you have, what you can apply for. So it's extremely important that you make yourself aware of where to find the information. But even more so, whomever is receiving those requests at your tribal agency to comment, please submit a comment in email. Please tell us why it's important to you. If you need more broadband funding, if you need more access to spectrum, it's your voice that has to be heard. I can say it all day long in my office that this is important to tribes, but without your letter, without your email, it's just me saying it's important, right? And I can't speak on your behalf. I can only advocate for you. So I really hope that you take that serious. This request for comment on consent, on rights of way, on permitting, on spectrum, those are key to the success of your networks. You need to have a say in what happens in all of those avenues in order to ensure that your networks are successful, that you're building something that can be sustained for a long period of time. And it starts with ensuring that nobody can encroach and take over or claim lands that you anticipate providing service to. I stand between you and lunch is coming in, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I am very excited to be here, and this is coming home to me. Many of you I know in here, many of you I have considered you mentors to me in my position, and I rely on your expertise.